So, welcome everybody to this online workshop webinar that we are organizing under the working group 3 of the GLITSS program. The GLITSS program is a cost action that has been established last year to study the impact of globalization, sustainability, security generated by illicit trade and the consequences. So there are several seminars and workshops and meetings that have been set up by different working groups. Here today, we are discussing under the working group 3 about responses to illicit trade. And we have the opportunity to present a work that has been established by Professor Jaroslav Dvorak and Valentina Bokshene from Klaipeda University from Lithuania. And the topic of the presentation is about sustainability factors shaping port security, a case study of Baltic ports. So now I leave the floor to Professor Dvorak for his presentation. Then we will have time for question following his usually 45 minutes presentation. So Jaroslav, thank you very much for presenting this topic, and I leave the floor to you for your presenting your study. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefano. So first of all, I would like to say a little bit the context of this research, because it's a part of a broader project that we are presented, we are prepared for the book, which I hope will be published next year. So, and one of the chapter of this book will be related with sustainability factors shaping port security in the case of study of Baltic ports. And so, in fact, what we can say that ports are undoubtedly an important asset for urban development, as they have traditionally been close to urban areas. And in case of sustainability, in brief, means both the improvements in human life and the conservation of natural resources. And in broader concepts, sustainability is defined as the ability of people to survive and develop in a timely manner, to adopt economic and social in a flexible and responsible way in a multifaceted context. So from one side, seaports are perceived as the main centers of economic activity, creating a number of jobs as well as influencing the welfare of port cities. From our side, seaports are treated as an important strategic asset with special security requirements addressed to the management of illicit economic process, drug trafficking, smuggling, maritime accidents, disaster, illegal fishing, other environmental crimes, and etc. So sustainability provision requires ports to pursue sustainable development policies and eliminate the illegal activity. So why this topic is important? So as you can see, we concentrate on sustainability factor as well as on security ports and their economics in the ports of Baltic states. So we chosen for our study 3 ports. The biggest port is Klaipeda port in Lithuania, Riga port in Latvia, and Tallinn port in Estonia. So all 3 states are European member states. Also, we saw that researchers, economists in particular, usually focus on the GDP value created by ports and the number of jobs created, with less attention paid to environmental protection and security. And economic competition, unfortunately, push environmental and security issues into background. From our hand, also weapons, dangerous goods, food products, illegal migrants, and drugs continue to arrive through ports, and that's why it's important to see that different links between the city and the water ports also contribute significant to environmental pollution and should be developed in sustainable manner. So what we can say that different studies already found that especially EU ports are much better at adopting sustainability measures than those in the United States. Likewise, Baltic ports nowadays seems to be under influence on the war of terror discourse and most likely require extra measures or specific projects to implement in order to unleash uncertainty, fear, and anxiety among all involved in the economic, social affairs of the port. So security measures are undoubtedly pivotal for Baltic States port, and specifically they are also perceived to be aware of sustainability requirements. So we have created following table. This table is related with sustainable development perspective of the port. So as you can see from this perspective, there are following aspects which mentioned in this table. So you can see that this data in the table reveal that the blue growth has more objectives for ports and harbors than environmental protection. This is more likely because on the origin of the ports and harbor business, which under the condition of climate change has had to look for new ways to operate and generate profit. And also, you can see that, for example, Sustainable Development Goal 6, usually it's related with ensure availability, sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Sustainable Development 13, also related in case of marine environmental protection, which is take urgent action to combat climate change impact. Sustainable Development 14, it's related with conserve and sustainability use of the ocean, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. Sustainable Development 15, also related to marine environmental protection. This is related with protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystem, and etc. And as I have mentioned already, more objectives are related with blue growth. So, in fact, for sure, we are use and analyzed before that different reports and different literature sources, and we can say that according to our World Port Sustainability Report, according to the above themes, we can state that different themes are mentioned, like revealed that resilient port infrastructure and turning to alternative energy resources obviously play a primary role when adapting business and sustainability requirements, given climate change considerations. And the themes of governance based on ethics and fruitful dialogue between the port and city community represent the democratic process of decision-making that helps to find holistic consensus on a cleaner port city environment. And the above points are in line with the scientific statements of the importance of economic modernization, blue economy, environmentally friendly solutions like environmental protection, and collaborative for network and governance for sustainable port development. So, in fact, this report somehow does not integrate the protection of the marine environment or security threats in safety and security theme. Also, many experts have analyzed this issue, like, for example, Sergio, in her book with colleagues, for instance, argue that endogenous mechanisms exist in ports, which generate an environment for legal actions and multifaceted criminals. Security researchers like Eski, Kankaras, also Sergio, Mokleberg, Eski, Fiedlers, they pay attention to the issue of organized crime, analyzing the trafficking of drugs, weapons, and people, smuggling, illegal fishing, transplant tourism, cybersecurity threats, and etc. And they propose possible solutions for increasing security. So, also, there are actors who expand criminogenic space in ports and integrate environment issue, for example, Bishop. So while raising the issue of limited law enforcement problems related to illegal lodging and fishing, illegal trade and legal disposal of hazardous waste focuses on environmental criminology. And the phenomenon refers to actions that harms or endangers the state of ecology. So, but we also based our research on Burger research, who developed a matrix of maritime security, in which he proposed framing maritime security in terms of four concepts. As you can see, that national security with dimension of sea power, marine environment with dimension of marine safety, economic development with the intention of the blue economy, and human security of the coastal population with dimension of resilience. So the framework of Burger differentiates maritime security from marine safety, arguing that marine safety as well as blue economy are interrelated components that together with components 1 and 4 from the concept of overall maritime security, and the weight of these components in maritime security depends on the capabilities and resources of the actors and political priorities. So maybe you know, but Burger proposed that marine safety is seen as being highly coherent with maritime security, and the components of marine safety can be further delineated into control, regulation of shipping construction of vessels, maritime installation and procedures, and second, to regulations and actions aimed at safety, search and rescue of seafarers and other human beings, and third, port security, economic, social, environmental aspects. So this can lead to the statement that marine safety means regulation for marine environmental protection and security measures that can increase opportunity for blue growth. So next we proposed the table. So and we considering maritime security to be framing condition according Burger framework. So and trying to discourse in more detail following the analyzed sources. So differentiation of maritime security components into negative and positive categories would broaden the understanding therefore, and according to Burger, the negative aspects are perceived as threats to maritime security, while the positive aspects are perceived as means to eliminate these threats. So you can see that to negative aspects threats, we included following things like illegal fishing, environmental crimes, maritime accidents and disasters, maritime terrorism, corruption, cybersecurity and cyber defense incidents, piracy, arms proliferation, smuggling, trafficking of drugs, people and illicit goods, interstate disputes. To positive aspects means we put in the table blue growth, so blue economy, protection of the marine environment, law enforcement, coordination, regulation, providing important oceanographic data to marine industry, safely securing cargo, initiative for sustainable and safety mobility, transparent communication on safety risk, discussion and capacity building, information sharing, and international consensus. So the major components in this table reflects those analyzed in the marine crime literature mentioned above. So, and just it is possible to agree with Burger that both port and maritime security are interrelated phenomena, as any port is a part of a complex maritime area. So we perceive ports as private business sectors operating on state-owned ports territory. Therefore, changes considering global agreement on sustainable development goals mean changes to port development laws that is state changing port business economics, considering blue growth and protection of marine environment objectives. Also it means that it's help elimination of threats of insecurity that will ultimately lead to sustainable, blue and secure maritime practice. So we created following framework that describe port transition to sustainability and security. As you can see that in the beginning we have some global agreement on sustainable development goals, followed by changes in national policies considering sustainable port development. When we are going to port business, change to the blue, following to protection of marine environment and elimination of insecurity threats by taking legal or proactive means. And next, we have some kind of 3C, like sustainable, like blue and secure business, sustainable ports, and sustainable maritime practice. So this was our analytical frame. Our main research question for this research was how and to what extent do sustainability provision influence the security of ports of the Baltic states. So we, as I have mentioned, concentrate on sustainability factors as well as on security of ports and their economics in the ports of the Baltic states. And as I have mentioned, we are focused on 3 ports. Nevertheless, Baltic port cities have been faced with numerous environmental problems, some of which have existed since before the fall of still USSR. So the residents living near the ports continue to suffer from excess particulate matter and noise. And for example, when the liquefied natural gas terminal became operational in the port of Klaipeda, higher requirements were imposed not only on environmental protection, but also on sustainable economic changes. And security requirements from national state authorities, local authorities, and security requirements of the coastal community have raised the bar even higher. However, it was not long before the governments and ports of the Baltic states reacted to these demands, which undoubtedly laid down the framework for overall security along the perimeter of the entire Baltic Sea coast. So the concept is still under research and raises serious concern about the interrelation between sustainability and security of the port. So for our study, we used following methodology. So we, as I have mentioned, chosen Baltic countries. So it's also 3 post-Soviet countries with less experience in democratic development. And post-Soviet Baltic ports represent the economies of small countries. And the modern paradigm of the development of such economies contain dynamic, constantly changing experience, consolidated knowledge, and primary material for further research and explanatory schemes. So research data was derived from document analysis. The analysis of strategies is important to this study because they are useful sources from which to collect data on decision-making for future direction of research. And the method of manifest content analysis helped to systemize the data that was collected. Content analysis is particularly useful in situations where a large amount of unanalyzed textual and data, because texts are rich sources with great potential to reveal valuable information. And if meaning is located in the discrete elements, the content that are easily identified on the surface of the text, then manifest content analysis is appropriate. So we first to look to general picture in the research context, when we analyze strategies according 3 basic terms like sustainability, safety, and security. So the choice to investigate both safety and security was determined by the fact that in Lithuanian, the terms safety and security are very often used synonymously, because the text which we used in Lithuania was in Lithuanian language. So in fact, there is no any real differences when somebody is using terms safety and security, so it's usually translated by the same word. So after that, we use the content analysis approach to calculate all keywords, phrases, and etc. So what is next? Also, we used this, as I mentioned, words. We analyzed it in all three documents, and it provides us with an initial picture of the port development priorities from the standpoint of sustainability, security, and safety. And usually, we also viewed we have viewed to other documents, and information was provided in Lithuanian, English. Also, we excluded information provided in Latvian and Estonian because no one of us speak those languages. This could be viewed as some limitation of research and may, in fact, impact our findings. So, but we have in mind that port development strategies and port documentation are formally prepared in English. This is a suitable approach for the analysis. So also we use content analysis of websites of stevedoring companies operating in selected seaports. So the choice of the companies as the object of the study was important in answering the research question, because they generate not only economic profit but also pollution in the port. At the same time, with the growth of cargo flows in the port, insecurity may increase as dangerous illegal cargo may arrive, and stevedoring companies are becoming the primary points of contact for ensuring port sustainability and security. And also we, as I have mentioned, look to their web page. We have found for sure different numbers of stevedoring companies in different ports. So, and we found different situation that we will present further. So, so what can be mentioned still that we used in this case, in both cases, comparative content analysis approach. So results of the websites of all reports and their companies were compared. And also, when we also used, we applied for port security 8 port security indicators that we found by Antao and his colleagues. It is a number of port security incidents, it is a number of security drills, investment in protection, compliance with ICPC, so requirements, the percentage of employees trained in the organization of anti-corruption policies and procedures, action taken in response to incident of corruption, the number of security meetings with police and authorities and shipping companies, and the number of port security inspection. And also we decided to add some few more indicators that we have found in the literature, like testing for improvement of cybersecurity and port security assurance system existence in the port. As mentioned by our researchers, many ports do not provide all information in their reports on the website. So the study was also supplemented with some information which we gathered from interviews. So 4 semi-structured interviews with experts were conducted in order to highlight the trends in sustainability and security of ports in the Baltic states that emerged during the research period. And what was next? So here are our ports. As you can see, here are all 3 small Baltic states, and here are the ports: Klaipeda port, Riga port, and Tallinn port. So we are not analyzed Russian ports, which are bigger, but we are focused on those 3 ports which are depends to, as I mentioned, EU member states. And here there are some main characteristics of analyzed ports. As you can see that, first of all, Port governance model, like Port of Klaipeda, it's fully state-owned, and from 1st of January 2023, it became a joint stock company. Free-Port of Riga, also fully state-owned, and Port of Tallinn, 77% of the shares are owned by the state and 33% by various investors, but for sure all ports are landlords. In all ports, governing controlling body is Port Authority, but there are some special features of the port, like Klaipeda port is frost-free port, Free-Port of Riga has special economic zone. Port of Tallinn is nowadays combination of several ports, so there are different ports that's also joined to Port of Tallinn. For example, some more ports are even not in the Tallinn port, but in our port like Baltic and some other. And there are some more activities. They are more like the same, like stevedoring, ship repairing, and etc. So you can see that in 2021, the port has the highest growth in their activity, because since the war in Ukraine started, so the number of cargoes is reduced dramatically, because companies lost cargoes which were transported through the ports to Belarus or Russia, or other countries, and for sure it's now very challenging. So ports have certification for sustainable performance, and in all ports there are some environmental policy standards. So going next, we are starting with analysis of strategic documents of the ports, as I have mentioned. So, and content analysis of the strategic documents of 3 Baltic ports in terms of sustainability, safety, and security revealed that their development in general. So all plans certain records related to safety. However, the results obtained from the analysis of the content of the planning documents with regard to the term security seems to be interesting, due to that the Port of Tallinn does not include security issues, while the attitude of the Free-Port of Riga to security is expressed quite strongly. So you can see from this figure. And it can be perceived that analysis of these terms has limitation that does not fully reveal data pertaining to security. Therefore, further analysis by subcategories of security threats and opportunities was fulfilled, and we looked for different continuing our content analysis, and this is information show that only in strategy of Free-Port of Riga was one mention of subcategory like marine accidents and disasters, also to guarantee safe entry-exit of ships like Panamax and larger, reducing number of shipping-related accidents found, which represent an already achieved results, as opposed to an objective or measure planned for the future. However, in the strategies, we identified a number of subcategories representing opportunities for change, and that could allow for the achievement of maritime security state if fulfilled. So the vast majority of these opportunities for maritime security basically focusing on the exchange of information and transparent risk communication, and they are mentioned in the Free-Port of Riga report. The report of Klaipeda port recorded only a few subcategories of maritime security, and according to the analysis, the protection and coordination of the marine environment is somehow important for the Free-Port of Riga, while the Port of Tallinn focus on regulation and initiatives for sustainable mobility. And we can just remember that Bulgaria insists that maritime insecurity has transnational consequences, therefore steps taken to combat security threats should be based not only on national jurisdiction, but also operate across boundaries. So the absence of phrase blue growth and blue economy in the strategies may lead also to the result contrary to the assumptions of theoretical model. And further analysis of the content by subcategories revealed that documents in all reports have records concerning both protection and blue growth to varying degrees. So based on the data which we collected through research, it can be assumed that Port Klaipeda is the most responsible for the protection of marine environment and related to marine safety, while Port of Tallinn has focused on minimizing underwater noise. This does not mean that there are no noise problems in the Port of Klaipeda, according to some data which we found from other institutions. So noise complaints can be constant, albeit they rose exponentially in 2021. However, it seems that the solutions to this issue are different compared to other EU countries. Only Port of Klaipeda thinks to promoting sustainable fishing and education programs for the employers. This use of fresh water and optimizing the consumption, therefore, are also topics related only to the Port of Klaipeda. And also one important subcategory reduction of carbon and greenhouse gas emission has not been found in their respective strategies, the absence of which may suggest that ports do not take sufficient care of climate change and air pollution. Further analysis of the blue growth category, however, revealed that ports are responding to climate change and pollution by planning infrastructure changes and managing waste and chemicals, as you can see from the following picture. And action taken for the blue growth of the ports comprises of so-called trip bottom line, so 3 base pillars of sustainable development: economic, social, and environmental, with the inclusion of significant social aspects like equality, inclusiveness of disadvantaged group and youth, working condition, and local communities. However, based on the blue growth subcategories, so it was found that no one of the strategies contain records of important issues such as corruption, the circular economy, and responsible public procurement. So these issues still need to be addressed in further research. So it also seems surprising that there is no digitalization aspect mentioned in the Tallinn Port Development Plan, which is also integrates the whole city harbor. When we analyzing the ratio of security and categories and subcategories and pro strategies, and we can state that Freeport of Riga concentrate on blue growth and security opportunities with the largest total number of subcategories among all respective ports. For the Port of Tallinn, blue growth is also the most important priority with marine protection and security opportunities, and the Port of Klaipeda significantly focus on marine protection, leaving blue growth behind in second place. And next, we also try to find some explanation from interviews of respondents. And we have some reasons that some explanation here coming from interviews that some respondents mentioned that the requirements to comply with Green Deal are very strict, and port companies may lose their licenses if they do not implement the relevant innovation. Some companies have already lost their licenses as a result of this. Companies are switching for new fuel, new engines, and modern and safe cranes, with the port administration playing its role as promoter of green economy. When we, as I have mentioned, look to other indicators which were described in the literature, we looked for main security indicators of the Baltic ports. For sure, we compared it in 2021. So as you can see, not all data was available, but using the collated data, so we can say that there are different situation in the ports regarding these main indicators. For sure, all the ports, they have compliance with ICPC requirements, but also they have approved different anti-corruption measures, like, for example, Port of Klaipeda approved corruption prevention plan, implemented some anti-corruption standards, or like Port of Riga, they are using some whistleblowing mechanism, and etc. Also, in different cases, they have different testing, like for cybersecurity, they are regular in some ports, and all ports have security assurance system. So finally, we look, as I mentioned, to stevedoring business practice, how it looks by analyzing their web pages. So, and what we can find. So the comparative analysis of the websites of stevedoring companies show that many of those operating in the port of Riga, 69%, and Tallinn, 33%, do not treat the provision of information on the website as important. And the remaining companies, 57% in Tallinn, provide information only on sustainability and security issues. Meanwhile, the free port of Riga, substantially and security are not considered priority among stevedoring companies. This can be explained by the fact that companies load one type of cargo stably and do not plan to expand and attract other types of cargo. The reason could be supplemented by a respondent who pointed out the following when talking about Klaipeda port companies. So, like, the requirements are strict, and before receiving a permit to load cargo from environmental agency, we do an environmental impact assessment with every company. We are in process of processing our permits to double our cargo capacity. As you can see, as many as 60% of stevedoring companies operating in Riga do not have a section dedicated to sustainability and security on their websites. Such a finding is somewhat surprising, because according to Carpenter, one of the main business challenges of port in competition with our ports and environmental protection, such as air, water, and pollution. Some other scholars confirm that security, together with other environmental issues in the port, encourage more careful consideration of sustainability. However, there are those who believe that otherwise, and argue that maritime security is not necessarily important for sustainability. And as you can see, that only 9% provide information about security measures applied in the company, and 22% about protection and corporate responsibility. Usually, the companies are managed by foreign investors from Western countries. Another explanation for why stevedoring companies operating in the free port of Riga pay less attention to sustainability and security on their websites can be linked to market economy models. It seems that Latvia adheres to liberal market economy model, while Lithuania and Estonia support a coordinated market model. So therefore, according to Sergei and her colleagues, states with a liberal market economy offer ports a free economic zone regime with less regulation. And it was found that companies operating in Port of Klaipeda prioritize sustainability and protection on their websites, as 90% of all stevedoring companies have a section dedicated to this topic on their websites, and this finding served as final confirmation of data from the analysis of the Klaipeda port strategic document. So, going further to conclusions, I can say that the finding of a research question, so how and to what extent do sustainability provision influence the security of ports of Baltic countries, we can state that our research revealed that the lack of sustainability or the consideration, therefore, however, a significant impact on the development of port security, and sustainability embraces marine environment protection and blue growth objective that should be planned and implemented in port business operation. Unfortunately, the balance between protection and growth measures from the perspective of respective ports is poor. More sustainable use of Baltic ports will lead to greater port security in the economic, social, and environmental context alike. Therefore, the knowledge and practice and sustainability are necessary in order to develop so-called economic security. So ports need to cooperate with higher education institutions and integrate education programs for sustainability into their strategies. However, only the Port of Klaipeda has been planning such training for its employees. So the study found that strict requirements for sustainability lead for a growing demand for security, and content analysis of the websites of Port of Klaipeda Stevedore company showed that companies give priority to sustainability through blue growth and marine safety, and this is in fact confirms the conclusion drawn by Bürger that following sustainable development requirements leads to better maritime security. And finally, our research revealed similarity in trends of the ports of the Baltic states, which has also been highlighted by our researchers and proved that security in the port is a concern of activities of local and national actors, and it includes the reputation and competitiveness of port itself. However, international cooperation is not perceived to be important for respective ports, and cooperation and rapid information sharing are essential as chain of crime and corruption become more organized. So thank you for your attention. That's, I think, all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaroslav, for your presentation. So, first of all, give the floor to the other people who attended the presentation if they have any question about what has been presented. I let them think about, but I have a question for you, Jaroslav. You showed there a huge variance in terms of, let's say, action in terms of security and sustainability across the 3 ports that you have analyzed. Do you have any a clue about the threats that probably may vary according to the port that have been considered? I mean, if there are some security threats in one port, maybe security could be a priority in that port compared to the others. So do you have any information about the threat that maybe have affected some of the ports, or this variance could only explain by an economic perspective in terms of, as you said, the expansion or not of the business activity in the port by the different companies that are involved?
For sure, now, you know, the situation is changing dramatically. So there are a lot of, in fact, threats related with port security because, like, for example, in Klaipeda port, we have in operation this LNG terminal. Also, nowadays, Tallinn port is starting also exploitation of LNG terminal. The main threats is now related to this situation in region, because usually, as like I was provided, if I still able to share maybe for a short period of time, I'm sorry, shortly want to provide the map. Like you see in the region, so we have this corridor which connects us with Poland. So because we have near also Kaliningrad area, which enclave depends to Russia. So this is very, very important for connection in case of any military actions if Russia starts. So, and in this case, ports are considering as those points that they can be really very secure, because in case of military actions, any possible support can come through the ports. That's why it's now very important, I think, for all ports in Baltic to increase their protection, or especially underwater security in the ports, because we saw in Baltic area just a few weeks ago some accidents in pipeline to Finland, and also it was more before some accidents with other pipelines. So you can see that it's really ports requires this underwater protection, but it's very difficult to make it and to have some kind of 100% guarantee that nothing happened. So I think this is very important, and especially as like we were discussing with this persons from Lithuanian naval, so like they have some kind of not joke, but usually say how much it costs port security. So, and as I mentioned, it costs only 2-3 cents, because if somebody call to the port and say that there is a bomb, so it means that all services which are responsible for port security, but usually a huge number of actors, they will be on their, let's say, legs and try to find a solution how to protect the port from some kind of threat. So it's port as ecosystem is very complicated, because each ship, probably it's a big also ecosystem, and sometimes it's difficult find even some kind of illegal products, illegal goods which are coming in the port. It's difficult to find for different state institutions, for different regulating bodies, and etc. So because it's sometimes even the big ships, they are very big and complicated construction, where it's not easy to look to all corners of the ship, if I understand your question correct.
So thank you. So now to sum up, you'll say that nowadays, following the war in Ukraine, the priority has become the security, to secure ports. So the following question that comes to my mind is, since there is an urgency to act to secure ports, how are they able to find a trade-off between sustainability and security? Do they take into account sustainability as well, or security is taking the main place, and sustainability is a bit set apart because of the urgency to act? So do you have any clue about this?
Yeah, I think it's for sure. You each time in port must to take care about sustainability, because all three ports are located in the cities. So, and you're not able you can't to think about sustainability, and ports for sure looking for different solutions each time, how to make life even for those who are living near the port better. But it's usually a huge challenge, because the increase in number of traffic to the ports, I mean either through through the ships, or by transport which are moving those cargoes from the port or to the port. So it's immediately create a lot of problems related with noise, related with a lot of waste. So it's challenging. So from one hand, we want to increase in cargoes. From other hand, the administration of the ports must to deal with sustainability, which is coming with nowadays trends. And for sure, in this case, a lot of like eyes are on the private companies which are operating in the ports, and how they are dealing with their equipment, and are they investing in different new solutions. Like, for example, in port of Klaipeda, some companies already operating in with electric cranes, electric cars, and etc., that to decrease the number of pollution, to decrease the noise. But again, this is also depends on the sometimes on the type of cargo, like, for example, coal, which is not very good cargo in terms of that it's provide a lot of dust, which also coming to the places where the residents are living, and for sure it affects the health of residents. So it's each time, but yeah, they are dealing with that. They are trying to, the ports administrations are trying to invest also in different solutions, that to, because usually they are responsible for port infrastructure, that to prevent the residents from different waste. So, or also create some better places. But it's challenging this time because no any big possibilities to move port activities from port city, from city to some other territory.
Thank you, Jaroslav, for your answer. So, is there any question coming from the audience? So, if this is not the case, so I thank you again, Jaroslav, for his presentation, and I thank you all for having taken time to follow this initiative that has been promoted by the Working Group 3, Responses to Illicit Trade, and see you next time for other seminar that we are preparing for the next month and the next year. So thank you very much, and stay tuned for the next activity of the Working Group 3. Thank you.